While basketball fans continue to sit on the edge of their seats, Bret Bielema and Illinois football continue to roll, getting 2 more commitments on Monday. Let's talk about them.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Sunny Verma, your host here at Locked On Illini, where I continue to provide you daily, that's right, daily, every single day, including the weekends, coverage of the beloved. If you'd like to support the channel, completely free. All I ask is if you can hit the like button. This is going to be a very good episode. And also make sure you're subscribed as I continue on my hunt for 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Look, I know it's off season for college football, but don't tell that to Bret Bielema. Bret continues to have football recruiting absolutely rolling. Now, I talked about how Illinois had a very big recruiting weekend this past weekend, and I was expecting 2, maybe even 3 commitments to come out of that. We've secured 2 of them on Monday, and I kind of delayed the release of this episode just in case number 3 came out, but that hasn't happened yet, so I still figured I'd recap the 2 guys that Illinois does have in fold, and then, of course, I can always talk about the potential third if he ever should decide to commit. Now, for instances like this, of course, I'm not the football expert when it comes to watching game tape. So right after this, you're going to watch me talk to Brian Smith from Locked On the Portal, assessing the 2 new Illini. Monday morning was a very busy morning for the Illini and the coaching staff as they announced 2 more commitments for the upcoming 2025 class. And guess what? Yes, once again, they're from Florida. And so at this point, to talk about Tony Williams and Almirian Thomas, I'm going to bring on a guy who at this point I should just make my co-host on the show, Brian Smith. Thank you again for joining us. Brian hosts the Locked On Portal. Is that right?
Locked On the Portal, yeah.
Locked On the Portal. And again, he's a recruiting expert. I've gotten such fantastic feedback every time he's on the show. Brian, thank you again for sparing us a couple minutes today.
Absolutely. This is my time, brother. Let's get it.
I can imagine. I know you're really, really busy. So again, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Let's just start with the linebacker first. This one I was hinted to a little earlier that this could have happened. Tony Williams, tell me a little bit about him.
This is a kid from Raines High School in Jacksonville. It's a program I know well. They've always got players. This is a school that Florida State and Miami, that's an automatic stop every spring. That's first thing you need to know. They're known for defensive guys and a ridiculous amount of speed. And that's what Tony is. He's a little undersized height-wise, but the way Bret wants to play defense, get down the field, play aggressively, he's a gap shooter. He's not somebody that's going to 2-gap in like Nick Saban's old scheme at Alabama. He wants to be in a 1-gap, get downfield, and beat somebody up. And he could run. 210 to 220 range. I don't know exactly, but the Williams kid gets to the outside and cuts off kids in Florida. Like, unless you've lived down here and seen it over and over, it's hard to explain, but like bad football teams have power 4 kids. It's just Florida's different. He runs down guys from behind that weigh 20, 30 pounds less than him. So he's going to fit Illinois' scheme. And above all else, this is something that I've been looking at differently from talking to college coaches. He just likes physicality. If you don't, I don't even care if you're a corner, that's a problem, but as an inside linebacker, it's mandatory. So he will come in ready. I guarantee you he will be on special teams immediately at Illinois, and probably by his sophomore year will be competing for a starting position.
Yeah, I was taking a look at his tape before we started recording. Like his open field tackling is something that's definitely
it's unusual, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
these are Florida kids. Like,
right. He's
playing in the Jacksonville Public League. These guys are shot out of a cannon, and he gets to them.
He's ranked 436th composite, the 33rd best linebacker, the 63rd best prospect out of the state. But again, as you said, when you're talking about Florida, the levels of talent down in Florida, 63rd best player in Florida is probably a top 20 prospect in most other states. And that's probably even not giving it enough credit.
In some states, the 63rd player would be 1 or 2, but that's another state.
You're exactly right. But I mean, let's just jump over to the other kid as well, Almirian Thomas. Now, Illinois, we talk about their affinity for the state of Florida. It's even more so when it comes to that defensive backs room. My quick count had 9 out of the 12 defensive backs that Illinois has from that state. And it makes sense. Almirian is 6'1", really speedy type of guy. Basically the exact prototype type of player that Brett loves in that secondary.
It was interesting watching his film. I don't know how recently you watched it, but he's a special teams guy, and a whole bunch of his film is dedicated to it. Very physical. He's a typical South Florida kid. He's Fort Myers. He goes to Dunbar. That's the program down there where the vast majority of the elite recruits are at here in the last few years. But most important thing about him is the same thing that I said about the last young man. He's physical. He will tackle. He doesn't care. If he's a return man, he'll go run and try to get through somebody. And he does have the twitchiness that you need to play corner. But he's got the length and the height too. Can't teach that stuff. I forget the young man's name that got drafted. What was it? 4th overall, the kid out of the Panhandle.
Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah, that kid was ranked even way lower than him, but same kind of athleticism. If you accept the coaching is always the question. And they said, well, why don't you hit on more guys that go? You don't know how 17-year-olds are going to transform into 21-year-olds. But this kid has the physical traits to be a college player that can play at a high level and then eventually maybe make it to the NFL. Can't teach 6'1", can't teach long arms, and he's played at a program that knows what it's like. They're the hunted. Everybody wants to circle Dunbar on their schedule. He's used to being that guy, and he's a feature player. So Illinois got another really good one that kind of fits that, again, that aggressive downhill defense. And I think it's kind of cool. Illinois didn't used to play that, but they've changed their program. And like you said, getting the Floridians, yeah, they fit that profile from a mentality standpoint. They are not afraid to get after it at all.
So Almirian is ranked 565 in the composite, the 52nd best cornerback, 87 in the state of Florida. Now, if Illinois in the past got 2 top 600 prospects in one day, we'd be throwing fireworks. But at this point, as of this recording, Illinois has the 7th best recruiting class of next year. I mean, I feel funny just saying that. I feel like I had to double, triple, quadruple check just mentioning that. But, you know, you've talked about how familiar you are with, like, obviously I've had you on the show a couple times now when it comes to Illinois recruiting these Florida guys. What is the common trait that you just see in each and every one of these potential commits that Brett is looking for?
Zero fear. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like, just as an example, and this is extreme. I got to know Jeremiah Smith quite well when he was playing at Chaminade Madonna and at South Florida Express 7-on-7. Real quiet kid, but everybody always told me the only time you get worried with Jeremiah is if you tick him off and if he says something to you, it's going to end real bad. Most Florida kids are upfront about it, but they will let you know what they're going to do, go do it, and then tell you afterwards what they did. And to play the kind of defense that Illinois wants to play, you kind of need some of that. You don't have to have it at every spot, but especially DB, you got to have a short memory. You got to be borderline arrogant, if not arrogant, because you're going to get beat sometimes. Playing man, playing aggressive, playing cover 4 up close, whatever they want to do on a different play. They mix it up a little bit. They have to have guys that have a short memory. Florida kids, they think they're going to the NFL, period. Now, a lot of them obviously don't, but that's just the mentality, and I think that's why Illinois hits it so hard.
Yeah, you're talking about, that extra level of cockiness. That was Devin Witherspoon absolutely a couple of years ago. And that's actually why I really like this story with Almirian. Apparently, both his parents have passed. He's living with a family friend. He's really a kid who's just counting on himself. And you can see how Brett likes those type of players that have a chip on their shoulder. Like they feel like they've got to prove something to the world. They come to campus extra hungry, extra ready to get on that field, do the work to get on that field, and like you said, try to get to the next level.
Yeah, kids at Booker T, a lot of them are underprivileged kids, and they use it to their advantage. I'm not surprised at all that he has a chip on his shoulder. I would too if I was in that circumstance. And the way he plays resembles that mindset. So good luck to him, and I hope he works out for the Illini.
Brian, thank you again so much for coming on. Let the folks know one more time where they can find your very busy work.
Absolutely. Locked on the portal. It's obviously about transfer portal, which I've got like a half dozen shows up just today. It's a lot of stuff, but recruiting, NIL, and the transfer portal, you can find us the same places you find Locked On Illini, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Odyssey, all those places. Come check us out. We are 7 days a week.
Brian, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. The all-in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Take this guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And welcome back. If you haven't already, make sure you've hit the like button on this video and make sure you're subscribed to the channel, where I'm going to continue to give you daily Illini updates. And when I talk about Illini updates, I'm not talking just men's basketball. I'm not talking just Illini football. Let's just say over the weekend, it's not just Illinois football that had a really good recruiting weekend. That's right. Shauna Green brings in two players that are going to play very important roles on next year's basketball team. Let's start with the headliner, Alia Guyton. She's a former four-star from Peoria, and she's transferring in from the Iowa Hawkeyes. Illinois has been after her for years, like literally. They lost out on her coming out of high school. Guyton signed with Iowa, especially post the whole Caitlin Clark hype. But the long-term relationship that Shauna Green had built with Guyton, I mean, they really, really tried hard to bring her to the state school. Ultimately paid off, and now she's coming home. Guyton is a former top 100 recruit, showing flashes during her freshman season at Iowa, and even started one game against Illinois. She averaged 4.7 points per game, shot nearly 37% from three, and brings a scoring punch the Illini women sorely need. But more importantly, she now pairs with five-star freshman Destiny Jackson, who also arrives this summer. Both are AAU teammates, both are dynamic, and both can handle the basketball. That's your new Illinois backcourt. And that's not it. Illinois also landed Villanova transfer Maddie Weber, a 5'11" wing who averaged 13.5 points per game in the Big East last season. She's going to give Illinois size, scoring, and defensive versatility. Her three-point percentage might not be as high as you'd want. It's hovering right around 30%. But she shoots a lot. The volume's very high, and the upside is absolutely there. She's a legit wing scorer, and she's got 2 years of eligibility left. With Guyton, Jackson, Weber, and returners like Brown Hagar, Gretchen Dolan, Barry Wallace, Illinois now next year is going to have a lot of flexibility in that lineup, something that they lacked last year while dealing with all the injuries that they had to deal with. You can mix and match the guards, wings, shooters, defenders. The group now is getting deeper, lacking a little bit on the experience side, but it's definitely still a young basketball team. Shauna Green, once again, leaned into her strengths. And of course, that is relationship. That's just something that Illinois is very blessed with when it comes to their head coaches, whether it's Brett Bielema and the whole family mantra. Shauna Green seems to subscribe to the same exact mentality. Just like with Genesis Bryant, Kendall Bostic, and Brown Hagar, Illinois is getting back the players they once missed out on, and now you see what the payoff. We'll keep an eye out on how this roster finishes out, but if Illinois can find maybe some help on the post, the team is going to be scary deep. I really think that Illinois women's college basketball has the highest trajectory of any of the sports at the University of Illinois, and I can't tell you guys enough how excited I am for what Shauna Green is building in Champaign. Keep in mind, in Nancy Faye's career at Illinois, the head coach right before Shauna, she went 9-22, 10-20, 11-19, 5-18, and then finally 7-20. Then Shauna Green came to Champaign, and her first 3 seasons went 22-10, 19-15, and last year, once again, 22-10. Losing in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The women's team obviously lost a lot to graduation from this past season, but The talent that Shauna Green is amassing in that locker room, I don't think it could very well be unprecedented when it comes to the Illini women's basketball team. And I promise you, I'm going to be trying to cover them a little bit more with your continued support. The more subscribers I get on this channel, the more flexibility I have, the more views I get on this channel, especially when it comes to women's content, the more justification I have to continue to bring women's basketball content here on Locked On Illini, which is exactly what my intentions are. I'm genuinely curious. Let me know in the comments. Has this recent turnaround by Shauna Green ignited any sort of interest that you've had in the women's basketball team? It certainly has for me. I'm curious on your thoughts. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. And you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Me personally, I'm spending way too much money going out to eat. I got 2 kids. I'm tired. It's easy to go get food from the fast food restaurant. I know I got to keep that in check. And with Monarch Money, instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. And that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for tuning in. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez. As your favorite collegiate players get ready for the next level, get the latest draft rankings, rumors, and news every day. Find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, we have a week full of content for you, so make sure you hit that like button and you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss a thing. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.